Tonight, 300,000 people in West Virginia are being told to stay away from their tap water, not to use it for anything, cooking, bathing, washing, anything at all. A chemical spill in the Elk River may have contaminated the drinking water. A federal investigation has been launched into how this happened.
Bad news this morning for hundreds of thousands of people in West Virginia whose drinking water was contaminated by a chemical spill. We're now learning that the spill was worse than initially believed. So how long until people can actually drink the water coming out of their own taps?
Just minutes ago, President Obama approved a disaster declaration for West Virginia. 9 counties are dealing with a chemical spill. It contaminated the water supply. Up to 300,000 people are being told not to touch the tap water.
An unsettling twist in the story of all those Americans with contaminated water in their homes in West Virginia. Thousands have been told the tap water is once again safe. But tonight, a new warning: pregnant women should not drink it, raising the question, what's the truth about what's in the water?
I was over at the Capitol and I remember coming back and smelling something in the air, but not really thinking anything of it.
We'd confirmed that yes, this came from the governor's office and it is a do not use order.
Do not use the water in Charleston.
I was live on the air when the governor's first tweet went out basically announcing that this had happened. And at first, we didn't really know what that meant. I was on the set, I was anchoring, as I said, and so I immediately sent a note to our assignment editor and said, check into this, let's see what this is. And finished anchoring the rest of that segment of the newscast. During the commercial break, came out, checked in, we'd gotten a little more information. We'd confirmed that yes, this came from the governor's office and it is a do not use order.
I was actually in Ripley working for the day, and it was on Twitter. I'd just checked briefly, and there was a proclamation from Governor Tomblin that said, do not use the water in Charleston. And that was really kind of the gist of it. I didn't know what else to expect, and I was just looking for more answers, as everybody was, I'm sure, but it was just kind of a panic thing, thinking that the water is out. There is no water. Do not use your water.
And that was really the start. We were live on the air when it happened, and it just snowballed from there.
The one thing I do remember about it is that I was over at the state capitol earlier that day. We had another freelance reporter was coming into work for us to cover the legislative session. Of course, the State of the State from Governor Tomblin was just, I believe it was the day before, actually. So I was over at the Capitol, and I remember coming back and smelling something in the air, but not really thinking anything of it.
In short, it was a mess. It was a mess. I was lucky. I had water. But that meant I was sort of ground zero for people who needed showers, who needed to fill up water bottles, for people who just kind of wanted a place where they could get away from the no water situation wherever they were and feel a sense of normalcy for a little bit.
No one was prepared for it, but also trying to fathom what it was like to be completely cut off, to not have an appropriate supply of drinking water, or to only have to be able to shower in a public space every couple of days if you're lucky.
And so there was a scrambling at the beginning to just gather information to share.
No one had any answers, including freedom, to anything at that point. And I think it pretty much summed up the frustration of media and the public.
One agency would come out with one set of statements or standards, and then another would come out a few days later.
I think that city and state officials were more concerned in the immediate aftermath with tax revenues that were being lost as a result of the hotels being empty than almost anything else.
And it took asking questions, investigative reporting, and a real sort of dogged determination to find those answers in order to get there. I think now, knowing what we know from that event, moving forward, we can apply a lot of those principles.
I'm not sure that monitoring the streams themselves is going to affect or prevent the failure of the water infrastructure in West Virginia. A year or more on from the chemical leak itself, I don't worry about MCHM. I don't worry about other contaminant in the streams themselves. What I worry about genuinely, and one of the reasons that we are very hesitant to drink or cook with the water, is that we had a very powerful washing agent in 100-year-old pipes for days at a time.
There really wasn't a lot of information to be had in the beginning. There wasn't the research on crude MCHM. And we didn't know what the protocols and procedures were for shutting down a water plant of the size of West Virginia American Water's facility near Charleston along the Elk River.
To put it very bluntly, the chemical leak into the water system in Charleston was an embarrassment for the entire state that we will feel for years and years to come.